Hello, Herlighters. It's Erin Foley back in the booth talking women's sports. So excited for today's episode. We're talking with Fortune Feimster, one of my favorite stand up comics, one of my dear friends. And we both love the U.S. women's national team. And over the past about week and a half, we had three friendlies, two against Iceland, one against Argentina. So we're gonna, do a little nerdy soccer talk about those games, and we're just gonna talk about both of our shared love of the national team, memories, games, all kinds of really fun stuff. We're celebrating the U.S. women's national team, and the word of the day is joy because that's what I'm seeing on the field. That's what Emma Hayes has brought to this team. It's just pure joy. And when I was watching these games, I was like, I need more joy. We all need more joy in our lives. Sometimes you just get so caught up in work and relationship stuff, friendships, all of it sometimes just seems so overwhelming. We've got a big election coming up. That will be absolutely overwhelming. And when I was watching these women play, the joy is back. They're just jumping up in each other's arms when a goal is scored. We were down 1-0 to Iceland, and Emma Hayes turns to her assistant coach. She's like, "This is going to be good," because she's just so excited to see like how the team's going to respond. There's just like this culture shift, this attitude shift within this team that I think we all can learn something from, and that is like you can work hard and you can just dedicate your life and your time to a craft or whatever it is, but you have to do it with joy. And I love that. So I'm really excited to just to keep watching them play under the Emma Hayes regime. And we'll talk all about that with Fortune because she's just the absolute best. Before I jump into the episode, just a quick shout out to this upcoming Saturday, November 9th, 7 p.m. at the Green Room 42 in New York City. It is a Her Lights Live with Ali Krieger. I mean, I don't even know. This is like full soccer, amazing moments. It just so happened that I'm doing, sort of a soccer specific podcast, although it's about life. So hang in there if you're not the greatest, biggest soccer fan. But yes, Ali Krieger, Saturday, November 9th, 7 p.m. I'm going to do 10, 15 minutes of stand up, bring her up. We'll talk about soccer, life on and off the field, what she's up to now, and then an audience Q&A. And it's going to be the greatest show of our lives. And then we're all going to have beers at some random bar in New York City. So to TBD. Also, let me tell you this. If you are not in New York City, you can stream this show. So you don't have to be in New York. I encourage you, if you are in New York, to go see it live. There's nothing like seeing a show live. But you can go on to herlights.com. That'll get you to the ticket link, or to the greenroom42.com and look up the show. And there's streaming links. There's tickets to stream and tickets for to see the show live. So I hope I will see you in New York, but also you can stream the episode. Okay, people, just pop some popcorn. It doesn't matter if you've seen these last couple friendlies or not. We're going to talk you all through it. And yeah, just a lot of fun energy and fun soccer talk and a big bowl of joy. So let's jump into it. So I did see you last night for Halloween. We were at Tom Papa's house, and we both realized that we watched the 2015 World Cup in Tom Papa's house, but you hadn't
Yeah.
met Tom yet?
I think I met him briefly, but I did not know him.
You didn't have a show with him,
Not
obviously.
enough to
Yeah.
be like in his house without him watching a soccer game.
Audience, the context here is that randomly I'll do some house pet sitting for Tom and Cynthia. I've known them for like, 20 some odd years. And I always do it like in the summer. It's because it's like a little getaway. And
Yeah.
it was 2015 World Cup. And I was like, everybody come over for the finals. Like it was my house. But that might have been the only relaxing World Cup final game I've ever seen.
Mm. Yeah, I remember us cheering and we were wearing red and blue. And then ironically, 4 years later, Tom and I started a radio show together.
I mean,
It
I
all
bring
started
people
there.
together, really.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you start a radio show. You go over someone's house, they're not there, you don't know them. You
Yep.
watch a World Cup game and then you circle back 4 years later.
Man, those World Cup games. I love them so much. There's nothing better.
Yeah. I think that one in particular, you know, after after losing in the finals like in 2011 to
Hmm.
Japan, and we were like
Oh,
also devastated. That was like that was
I
devastating.
was in a bar in Studio City with my friends, and we were just like, oh, oh, like, it
I
hurts your
just assumed we'd
soul.
win. Like I just assumed,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I was like, we
Mm,
waited since 99, like we've got to win. So the 2015, what was so great about that game was we scored, 65 goals in the first 30 seconds and we could
hmm.
sort of relax. I mean, I
Yeah.
still couldn't, but it was like enjoyable because we were up, I don't know, 4-0 in the blink of an eye.
Hmm.
I was just thinking about that. Like when you mentioned that last night, I was like, oh yeah, that was like a semi enjoyable during the game, while you're watching it, you weren't
Yeah.
completely stressed out.
Yeah, because you're a hardcore sports watcher. I get really into
Yeah.
the big tournaments. I
Yeah.
get into the World Cups. I get into the Olympic soccer and any of those sporting events. I'm into the World Series. I'm into the Super Bowl. But if you are like, are you paying attention to the regular season? I'm like, no, not really. I watch clips on TikTok, but I don't know
Okay,
what's
well,
going on. But then I will,
it's a
Aaron,
clip show.
I will root for a team in like the World Series or Super Bowl, like my life depends on it. And my wife is like, "What? What is this? You've watched like one game the whole season." I'm like, "I can't talk right now.
My team's on.
My team is playing.
I've been rooting for them for the last 72 hours. No, shut up.
My heart's in it."
My heart's beating out of my chest for what is this team name again?
Wait, what's
Oh
who's
yeah.
their mascot?
Wait. Yeah, let's go with that team. I
Yeah.
like their colors. Yeah.
You know what I
Well,
blame it on?
yeah.
I'm from North Carolina.
Mm,
And what reigns supreme in North Carolina? College sports,
mm. Yeah.
college basketball.
The UNC and the Dukes and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought you were going to
College
say
football.
NASCAR.
Well, I mean, for some people, I'm not watching it.
Is that big in North Carolina?
Huge,
Okay. All
huge. So
right.
is
Yeah.
wrestling, which is a sport. But
Absolutely it's a sport.
we didn't get the Panthers until I was in college. Same with the NHL team, and then we still don't have a professional baseball team.
Yeah.
I gotta go root for the Durham Bulls in AAA.
Yeah. And you
Um,
got to root for the North Carolina Courage.
we did have the Charlotte Hornets though.
Oh,
Mm,
yeah. Yeah.
who were then the Bobcats, and now are they the Hornets again?
I don't even know. I
Okay,
literally my NBA watching has dwindled to, I guess
same.
I would say like my you're watching like that becomes like the NBA finals. I go hard for one team. I don't watch most of the season because I'm too busy
Mm,
with all my other women's sports, but
yeah.
then I will like live and die for a team. Like I was
Hmm.
losing my mind over like the Denver Nuggets. I'm like,
Oh
what am
no,
I doing? And I went like
Denver
all
Nuggets.
in and I was like, they have to win. I'm like, who am I right now? I don't
Yeah,
even recognize myself. But I
you're
tell you
you're a
what,
big WNBA gal.
oh my God, beyond. I mean, my New York
Everyone,
team finally won
I know.
28 years.
Congratulations,
Thank
bud.
you. I say
Yeah,
we because I have been part of the team since
you're a part of it.
1912.
I just turned the light on, so I could have
Wow.
the
Oh, look
same
at this
glow.
mood
So I could have the
lighting.
same glow that you have right now. I'm like, wait, I was looking at your lighting. I was like, somebody's just showing me up right now with their lighting. And I was like, you know what? Two can play that game. Mm,
I have like a stencil light, but like my desk is like against the window. I mean, the
look,
backdrop is so ugly, but
I got this
you're
from the
glowing
I
right
got this
now.
from the dollar store in Toronto.
Oh my God, it's amazing. It's a
It
a
works.
99-cent ring light. That's all
Look
that
at that.
matters. My God, you're glowing like a
Oh,
goddamn
I'm
angel right now.
gorgeous. I can talk about sports all day long if I look
I
like
can't even
this.
make eye contact you. This is a supermodel shoot.
Let's talk about sports, baby.
Let's
Let's
talk
talk about
about
you and
me.
me.
U.S. women's national team had 3 friendlies. I said,
Mm.
Fortune, let's talk about these games. I know you didn't
Hmm.
see all of them, but you saw highlights, and that's all that matters.
Here's the problem. I don't have a regular TV package anymore.
Yeah.
I was on the road for a year and a half and filming in Toronto for 5 months. I let it all go. So I didn't have anywhere to watch it.
It's okay. I'll talk us through all of it. And plus it's just kind of like a greater just a larger story about your relationship to US women's soccer. Really?
Don't
So
you dare. You know I love my ladies. I don't want to brag, but I did announce the Olympic roster
it's
for our
I have a
U.S. women's
I have a
national team.
whiteboard to my right, and that's my
Hmm.
third question. So
Okay.
let's get into it. Because a lot of people don't know the story. I did a we talked about it on your radio show, but we haven't talked about
Mhm.
it on this show. So, how did that come about?
I don't actually know how it happened. I mean, I'm a huge fan of our women's national team, have been for many, many, many years. I'm always Instagramming, you go girls, or whatever the thing is you say. I think it might have started, well, actually yeah, it did start with when I was doing shows in Australia and New Zealand. I did not plan that to be the case. As far as that was, they were playing in the was that the world that was the World Cup? No, what
Yeah, that
was
was
that?
20 wasn't that 2023 World
R-
Cup, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I landed. I knew the games were happening and stuff, and but just I was like, oh, I'm gonna be like a week too late. I'm not gonna get to see any of it. And then in New because they were in New Zealand the whole time until later on. Um, and I got to New Zealand, and the driver was like, "Oh, the U.S. Women's National Team just arrived yesterday morning on your same flight." I'm like,
Huh?
"What?" I was like, "They're here right now. Are you kidding me?" And so as soon as we got to our hotel, I like frantically Googled, what,
Hot women on a bus.
yeah, where are
New
they?
Ze
Where are
Australia,
they
New
staying? What
Zealand.
are they doing?
Where are they?
They want to hang out. They don't. They're all sequestered. But they were in a hotel like 3 minutes from me. I didn't stalk them, don't worry. Well, actually, okay, I did to an extent. I saw that they were doing an open practice. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to get to see them play in an actual game, but I could maybe go to this practice. So I texted Abby Wambach and said, hey girl,
Hey girl.
hey girl, any chance I could go to this practice? She probably was like, what? It's so random. I'm like, I'm in New Zealand and I'd like to go. So she was so lovely and got me in touch with somebody who was like, yeah, come check it out. It was me and a bunch of children watching them practice.
Practice harder. We
Just
got a big game. The children were
tons of
crying.
children there to see their heroes and me, and I was having a ball. We drove to the outskirts somewhere in New Zealand, watched them play, and I got to talk to some of the players. Some of them I had met before and knew, and they were awesome. And so that's when I met some of the behind the scenes people. And so then they just reached out and asked if I would do it, and I was like, absolutely.
Okay, hold on. Before we jump into that, what did you have an interaction with like a player that you didn't know or a fun like any more details? Like, did you have a secret handshake? Like, what exchange phone
Good
numbers,
question. Good question.
any checking numbers, routing numbers? What information could you tell the fans?
The behind the scenes. I had met Megan Rapinoe because we both did a cameo on the reboot of The L Word. So I met
Gay.
her. She was super cool. So we reunited and it felt so good.
Nice.
Um, yeah, she's just super cool, and I was so pumped to meet Alex Morgan. I was
Yes.
like, bling, 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 just kidding. Just kidding.
Very good looking woman.
Um, she was so cool and lovely. I took pictures with her, and I met Emily Sonnet because they were like, "Oh, Sonnet here is the comedian of the team." So she likes to tell those jokes too. So I thought that was fun.
That's
Um,
awesome.
I didn't meet. They were all kind of far away. These were the ones that were kind of coming in to do press. There was like a local press, what do you
Yeah.
call it? Little corner
Booth,
of booth.
room,
Yeah.
storage
Um,
unit.
so those were the only ones that I chatted with, but I would have loved to have high-fived everybody.
Well, those are three huge ones.
Mm-hmm.
I've had this theory about Emily Sonnet, and then she actually, I mean, first of all, she's a world-class player.
Mm-hmm.
But she was always like kind of like fringe player,
Mm-hmm.
bubble player for national team, didn't got always was on the team, not a lot of playing time.
Yeah.
But yeah, her reputation from day one is like, oh my God, she's so funny. And I'm like, you
Yeah.
need those players on the team that can, like, the glue to the team that keep
Keep
you
the
laughing,
morale
keep
up.
the morale. And so I
Mm-hmm.
always saw her as like a morale player.
Yeah.
And then I tell you, that last game against Sweden in 2023, I mean, the team was in the toilet, not their
Mm-hmm.
fault, terrible coaching. And she, she played the game of her life. And I
Yeah.
swear to God, and she's always like solid NWSL player, but I'm
Yeah.
saying on the national team, she took it to like another level. I thought she
Mm-hmm.
saved the day. She kept us in the game the entire game. And now I
Yeah.
think honestly like she played a lot of these
Mm-hmm.
minutes in these friendlies, these last three friendlies, and
Yeah.
I was always a big fan off the field, but now I just
Mm-hmm.
think her play is just, yeah, she's outstanding. So those are
She,
three fun people to meet.
yeah, she rose to the occasion. Yeah, was that the game where we were all yelling at the TV to substitute, put in some subs? Was that
I
one of the
think
games?
I think every single game we were
I think
screaming
we yelled
subs.
at
You and I were
everything.
texting
We
about
were
subs,
texting
and we were
like,
also
"Why, Mom?
screaming.
He put on in these subs!" Ah! Our heads were exploding.
Our heads were exploding. Yeah, those first three games, I think they had no subs, and then by the time we get to whatever round, I think what first
Hmm.
round we were out or something, and it was all I try to like it's a dark black hole. We looked absolutely like I just was like, yeah,
But you know
that
what?
was
They rose
it
from the
had to happen.
ashes.
It
It had to
had to
happen. They
happen.
needed a
Yeah.
rebuild. They had
Yeah.
to rebuild, regroup. It was a wake-up call for everybody. Yeah, it was a hard moment, I'm sure, for them.
Yes. I can't
But
even imagine if we're sitting here being like that was
yeah.
unacceptable. Like they're literally over they're playing and yeah, no joy in
Yeah.
Mudville, which we will discuss in a minute because Emma Hayes has brought the joy. When you get the call to do the announcement for the Olympic team,
Hmm.
what was that like process like? Did you have to like pitch ideas or like what?
It was very fast because they were
Yeah,
like, it was like a Tuesday or Wednesday, and they're like, this is on Saturday. And I was like, holy crap. And they sent someone up. She's awesome. She brought a bunch of gear, and a giant American flag, which felt very funny in Canada to be like putting up this giant American flag.
oh my, because you were filming Fubar,
I
right?
was filming Fubar,
Okay,
yeah, and yeah, they were awesome. It was
yeah,
very low key, just like here's the script, and at the time they were like, here's the lineup,
yeah,
and it's gonna be this was like a Saturday or Sunday, I can't remember, and it'll be announced on Wednesday,
yeah,
and I felt very weird to have this weird
yeah.
but like awesome to have this
Yeah.
information.
Yeah, that's
Um,
our back and forth. We won't disclose what the back and forth was, but you were like, I got, I'm announcing the Olympic lineup, right? And we were all because there
But
were
I
so
kept it.
many. No, you
I kept it
absolutely did not tell
sealed.
me any
I
details.
was
I just
like,
want to
I'm
say that
not.
for the record, you did
Yes,
not give me any details. But the fact of that you had the information and I didn't, it was so I was losing my mind. I go,
I know.
just give me something,
I was
just give
like,
me a little something.
I was like, I don't want to put. I don't want to. They've entrusted me. I'm not telling anybody. I
Yeah.
said there will be something that will surprise you,
That's what you
and
gave
that's
me.
all I'll
And that,
say.
and I, boy, did I run with that. I was like, Wambach's on the team. Kamala Harris is the new like we were just like, joking around the whole time, but
Yeah.
I was trying to get as much information
I
out
was
of
like,
you as
nope,
possible and you were good.
because I wanted them to ask me to do stuff again.
I know. Not that I was going to go out publicly, but like, yeah. No, of course. You were yes, yeah. For the record, everybody, I got no information
No
out of
information for
Fortune,
this gal.
even though she had the goods. Um
That's
yeah,
right.
so I of course nerdily watched all the games and then maybe watched a couple of all the goals like several times, but I thought overall I'm just like obsessed with Emma Hayes. Like I
Oh yeah.
think first of all I think we would be like best friends.
I could see
um
that.
I saw her. I was like 2 feet away from her at a random hotel bar in Jersey when it's too long of a story. But
Recently?
yeah, this summer
Oh, okay.
I went to see the U.S. Women's National Team play before, like one of their send offs before
Oh
the
yeah.
Olympics, because
Mm-hmm.
I was in New York in town doing a show, and then I went to a Liberty
Mm-hmm.
game, and then a friend of mine was like, "Hey, we're hanging out at this hotel bar in Jersey." I was like, I'll take an Uber." I was with my best friend Carrie, so we go over there, and then we're like, I know some of them from like podcast stuff and
Yeah.
whatever. So I was saying hi to a bunch of more like the like 90 some of the 99ers and
Oh yeah.
2011 like because I didn't know none of the new players were there.
Mm.
Um Although we did pass Jaden Shaw in the hotel and I didn't realize it. And Carrie got so excited, my best friend, that she smacked me like in the arm. And I was like, what was that for? She was like, that was Jaden Shaw. I was like, oh my God. She was acting like a child. It was
That's
adorable.
funny.
But anyway, right behind me, it was pretty late. It was like 11:30 at night.
Hmm.
Um, in walks Emma Hayes and like her mom. It was her, I think her mom and like a friend, and they were all having beers. And I was like,
Oh,
this is
nice. It's very
amazing.
British of them.
So British.
Just having a little beer.
Just a little bit.
You like that? You like that accent? I'm having some beer. That's a terrible
I
accent.
don't know what that. I think that was
Thank,
part
th-
German.
thank you. No, see, it's terrible.
Having a
Thank,
beer.
I'm having a beer.
That is a cowboy in
There was a
London.
little, there was a little German that came
I used to be able to do like a Cockney one. Um,
Good day.
Good night.
Good day,
Emma
mate.
Emma
No,
was
that's
having a
Australian.
beer. I can't. I can't. I
What are
don't
we
know how
doing?
people act.
I know.
What's
How do
Am
these
I going to
real
edit that
actors do
out?
it?
Absolutely not. Okay, here's what I love about Emma Hayes. Did I watch a post game interview? You're goddamn right I did.
Mm.
And one of the announcers were like, okay, so it's three friendlies, two against Iceland and one against Argentina. Iceland, by the way, very good looking.
Mm.
They played so well. They played
Mm-hmm.
so well. And Argentina, my impression of them is that I want to um the lack of support for the women's team in Argentina is disgusting.
I
Half the
know.
players didn't even travel with the team because
Yeah.
there's no money. They're like didn't even know when they were going to get paid
And
or
they gotta
get
work
fed, and they have to work.
like on a regular job.
It's so sad. Argentina, like their men's team just won the World Cup. We're talking about
Hmm.
Messi. Like
Yeah.
Messi,
It's
why
actually
don't you
pretty
go
crazy.
stand up for the women's team? It made me Julie Foudy was talking about it and I was
Hmm.
irate.
It is insane that like that would be the case because they finally started putting money into, I mean, not Spain obviously has their problems, but
Yeah.
they finally started at least putting money in that program, and Spain's been having, had these huge
Amazing.
teams for years.
Yeah.
But yeah, why Argentina hasn't pivoted to lift up the women's team, it makes no sense because they're not, the men's team is so huge.
It's met women are second class citizens, not only in our country, but just a little bit more parity, obviously a lot more investment. But in, sort of machismo South American countries, certainly in Africa, it's like the men reign and these women are like just fighting. So it's like, yeah, I want to beat Argentina. Yeah, I want to beat Iceland. But like then you hear that story in the middle of the
Mm-hmm.
Argentina game and you're like, I want them to do like I want to support them. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just so that was just such a freaking bummer. But anyway, I thought about you because Emma Hayes's first comment when they said, what did you get out of these three friendlies? And we won them
Mm-hmm.
all. She said, in her wonderful British accent, she said, because there were so many new players in the camp. So
Mm-hmm.
that was like one of her big things. She wanted to take a look at all these new players. And she said there
Mm-hmm.
were so many debutantes. And I
I
was
know
like,
why you
oh,
thought of me.
I thought of your debutante joke.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That but like she's saying like prim and proper kind of
No,
gals.
it's just like the word she used for like these players making their debuts, right?
Oh,
So
I
yeah,
see.
they
Oh,
had
because
never
I was
played
like,
on the
wait,
national
what?
team before, and she called
I
them
see.
debutantes. And I was like, oh my
Coming
God,
out to society.
coming out to society.
Yeah, there were a lot. There were a lot of names. I was like, oh, I don't know a lot of these players.
I had to look a couple of Gaetino. I was like, Eva Gatina. I was like, I have never heard her name before. I guess she plays in Paris. So I
Okay.
was like, okay, well that that makes sense.
Which I think is
Um,
good when our players get some of that international experience besides just these big tournaments. I like it, like Tobin Heath, she did that early on.
oh yeah.
And Lindsay obviously. But I just think it's good. It's good over there to get some of that
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
experience.
that level of play, it's interesting because they're all like Leon and all those pairs groups in Barcelona, like their level of play is like up and up and up
Mm-hmm.
and up and up, and even a lot of the British leagues. But they always say like the NWSL is the toughest league.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it is anymore. That would be a
Yeah,
question. I'm
I
guessing. I'm
know.
absolutely talking out of my ass
I
right now.
really
I
don't
don't
know
watch a lot of
either.
European women's soccer, just
Yeah.
like the big events. But
Mm-hmm.
that's an interesting question. Is like, how does the NWSL compare to the professional European
Yeah.
women's leagues?
Yeah.
Um, we got a caller. The call lines are lighting up. But I will I'm gonna get that piece of information, Fortune, and I'll text you.
Please
Um,
do.
but yeah, there was a lot of also a lot of fun stories. Rose Lavelle, 100th cap,
Mm-hmm.
and her little
I saw
pregame
that on
ceremony was
TikTok.
right. Did you see Wilma,
Yeah.
her English bulldog?
Yeah. So
My
cute.
God, that was the cutest thing
Someone
ever
else
with
got
like
100
earphones on.
caps. Was it Sonnet? No.
I mean, it could
Or
have
no,
been.
it was Swanson.
Oh, that's right. It was Mallory Swanson.
Mm-hmm.
Nice, Fortune.
Thank
Mallory
you.
Swanson.
Mm.
Yes. Yeah. Because
But Sonnet also has
Dansby,
100 caps now.
does she? Wow. That's
101.
that's really impressive. Maybe we also saw the sonnet ceremony. I can't remember. They're
Rose
all they're
has
all blending.
107, Mallory 102, and Emily 101.
Yeah, so Rose Lavelle chose, like, she had already gotten the hunter cap, but she chose to, they were playing in Louisville and she's from Cincinnati, so the whole family could come
Mm-hmm.
down and her dog Wilma. And it's just so she's so great. Can I just tangent out for 1 second? The
Please.
halftime commentary, Shannon Box, who's amazing, former player, and then DeMarcus Beasley is the guy that reports. He's a
Mm-hmm.
former soccer player. And listeners, you can email me at erin@herlights.com if you agree with me or don't agree with me. He might be the worst announcer I've ever heard in my entire
Oh,
life. He's
really?
so bad, Fortune.
I don't
He
know. I
said
don't know if I'm familiar with him.
they go, every time Emma Hayes talks about Rose Lavelle, they say she's like her soccer IQ is so high. Like
Oh,
she's one of the
really?
smartest players on the field. And he goes,
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Like literally, these are
That's
his
it.
answers. He goes, Yep. And then he was describing the first half of like, I think it was Argentina. And he goes, yeah, no, it was Argentina. He goes, yeah, I mean, it was like, it was an okay game. Like they were sitting back a lot and, it was all right. I mean, you're like, I could do
Mm,
this. Like it
yeah,
was like, no, he adds absolutely jack shit to the table. And
right.
I need him replaced by an
Who's your favorite?
enthusiastic.
You
Well,
have
I have to say the
Bowdy?
the commentary. I think Foudy is a fantastic commentator. I
Mm-hmm.
really do. I really do. I really love when she calls games because she obviously has been there and it's so insightful, but she also has a good personality. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like up energy wise.
Yeah.
Um,
Doesn't
you know,
Brandy also do it? Or no? Chastain?
I don't think so.
She's not done it? For some reason I thought she
I
had,
mean,
but I
now
could
that
be
she
wrong.
owns like Bay FC, I think she's like embedded
Oh,
in
that's
Bay
right.
FC. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I just was like, all right, I just have to discuss. I cannot stand DeMarcus Beasley. Okay. All right, did you see the goals? Let's just start game one real quick. The two
Okay.
Iceland games. The goals were absolutely, by the way, if you haven't seen these games, you
Go
can
watch them on
watch them
TikTok.
somewhere. Because the Iceland games were super competitive. I mean, we wound up winning both games 3-1, but the first game it was either tied or yeah, it was tied up to like literally we had all these late goals. The Iceland game number 2, we were down a goal. It's the first time we were trailing in Emma Hayes's,
Mm,
tenure
Her,
as a coach, all of 12
I
games,
know,
which is
right?
incredible,
That's wild.
And we will talk, we'll get to at the end. She's coach of the year and she had some really great comments about that. Um, but in the first game, our sweet Alyssa Thompson from ACFC,
I saw that.
there were so many good moments in all these three
Hmm.
games because there were so many firsts. The debutantes got rolled out.
Yeah.
I had to Google a couple of them to figure out. I had heard their names before, but like what team? I just
Hmm.
didn't know some of the teams. So Alyssa Thompson, our beloved ACFC, comes in and just a banger of a goal in the top left.
Yeah, that
That
was
was
really
exciting.
cool. Hmm.
That was like
She's
just
so
such.
young. She's so young still. Even though she has some
Yeah.
of this stuff under her belt, I forget how young she is. So she's just gonna keep getting better and better.
And she looks so tiny out there that I'm like, but the amount of like, I don't know, torque, is that something
She can
on the
run,
ball?
yeah.
She's so fast. She's
Hmm.
also, I think in I all the games are kind of blending. So let's say the second game or it might be the third. So
Yeah.
listeners, just roll with it here. They put her in like either an outside mid, or she wasn't playing all the way up for part of one game. She came in
Hmm.
like the second half of one game because Emma Hayes, we've got NWSL playoffs this weekend, so um, she had to like manage minutes on a
Yeah.
lot of these players. But like her, she was getting back and defending and going up
Yeah.
and like assisting and like I thought like she had a great camp and I was so proud
Yeah.
of her. I
They're like,
loved
you
her.
get 30 minutes out of this player and then get him the heck out of there.
I know, right? This will air after this last final weekend of NWSL. It'll come out next Tuesday. But yeah, that was like a big, concern of like getting all
Yeah.
these new players and just, the fact that like these FIFA windows are in the middle of our season is
I
so awful.
know.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know what can be done by that, but
But
um
honestly, I would want to, if I was one of those young players, I think I would be too tempted to like show Emma everything I got. I would run my gas out on those games. I'd be like, you know,
absolutely.
you got this small window to show her what you can do. I'd be thinking about that.
I think they did. I don't think
Mhm.
anybody out there was like, I've got to conserve myself for my
Yeah,
club game on Saturday.
exactly.
Even the teams that are like in contention, because
Yeah.
you know what I was thinking when I was watching these games? Like the amount of talent we have is just unbelievable. I mean,
Hmm.
the second game when we were down one for a good part of the game, which they were saying, oh, MAs is going to love this because it's like something new. How does this team react? We're down by a goal.
Hmm.
I don't like it as a fan at all. But part of the reason was because the entire team was new. I think at some point they had like 6 of the 11 players had less than
Yeah,
30 caps. I mean, they're all babies out
I
there.
know. I know it's so wild though. It's because of this transition year that they had, like going from the bad World Cup like quickly into the Olympics. The only thing that bums me out is that, some of these legendary players, you didn't get to quite see them have the swan song you wanted for them. And then like Tobin Heath has been out for a while, and like Kristen Press was out for a long time. So all these players we came up with that we've been rooting for. I just feel like we didn't get to see them have their glory moments like an Abby Wambach did, or,
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely. The one that pains me the most is Becky Sauerbrunn because she's
Ah,
always going to be one
yeah.
of my all-time favorite players.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say this out loud, and this is not great, but I'm kind of hoping I'm going to be doing a live show in Portland in 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping the Thorns lose selfishly so I could try to get Becky on the show. I just love her so
Becky,
much, and she didn't get
she
her
is cool. She
flowers.
did not get her flowers. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. A bunch of those players
Yeah.
didn't really get their flowers, But that's just because
Sydney
of
had babies.
it's just because of the
Tobin, Kristen.
transition and
Yeah.
the injuries and
Yeah.
you just wanted to see them have their one last big
Yeah.
tournament, and it just wasn't to be.
Even Kelly O'Hara, she
Alex
had her
Morgan.
Alex Morgan.
Yeah, Kelly
Yeah,
O'Hara, she
she has
retired.
injuries and
Yeah.
But I mean, she's all over the place doing so much good stuff. Like we're always going to see her. But like at least that halftime, I didn't actually see it. Like it wasn't played on my TV for some reason, so I had to go back and like look it up on YouTube. But she had like a lot of sweet things to say, and but yeah, like you leave like Kelly O'Hara has this like amazing career, and she's not even filling out. She's not finishing out her NWSL
I
because she's
know.
so badly injured, like with her knee, and you're like, oh God, it
I know.
rarely do you go out on top, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, some people have gotten to have their big
Yeah,
final
true.
thing.
Yeah,
I guess it just, yeah, depends on where you're at with your career and injuries and where the
yeah,
team's at. So it is kind of jarring to all of a sudden see all these. It's like hopeful. You're like, oh, this is amazing that we have all this talent coming. And but you're almost like you blinked and you're who you've
yeah,
been rooting for years are just gone.
yeah,
And it's a whole new thing. It is kind of like, oh wow, okay, let me readjust to the getting to know the players, and we just for so many years knew this person can do that and that
yeah,
person can do that, and oh, you can count on them for this. They're not as great here, but this is, that was
yeah,
always a fun part of watching. So this I'm gonna have to relearn, and that's how sports go. Just the new
yeah.
crop.
But I have to say, some of the new crop are so fun to watch. I mean,
Hmm.
Jaden Shaw comes up with a goal in the first game through the keeper's legs.
Yeah.
She looks amazing. She's like 18 or 19 playing in San
Hmm.
Diego. I've gotten to see her a whole bunch of times because of San Diego ACFC. And I went down to
Yeah.
San Diego to see them play a couple times. Just because I have a sports problem. So Jaden Shaw's super fun. But again, she's like behind the triple espresso of like Swanson, Smith, and Rodman. Rodman wasn't in this camp.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
I didn't I saw that, but I meant to follow up and see why. What was that?
I meant to follow up and see why too, but I think
Is that an
she
injury?
might be in I think it might be an injury.
I don't want to brag, but I used to play in a soccer league for 15 years out here in Los Angeles. And I was pretty good. Um and then as I got older and older, all these like 20 somethings were joining the league, and I was like, okay, I think it's time to hang up the cleats. 'Cause it's just like you can't
Yeah,
compete with these fast, and this is on such a minor level. Can you imagine
yeah,
at that level?
yeah,
They're so fast and they have energy for days. They don't tire in the same way. They don't, it's just like, yeah, it's just that's how the cookie crumbles. The younger they are, the better. I mean, and they need that
yeah.
experience and
Oh
stuff and
yeah,
get
yeah.
rid of the nervousness. That takes time. But man, as far as skill and fastness, whew.
I couldn't believe like the goals from the first game were absolutely like stunning, and they were all so young. Alyssa Thompson's like 18, 19. Shaw's
Mhm.
18, 19. Beautiful goals. Then Sophia Smith takes one like off her, she bounces it like off her thigh, then
Mhm.
kicks it in lower left. I mean, one of the most gorgeous goals you're ever going to see. She's like 23. I
Yeah.
mean, it's unbelievable the skill level. And then shout out to Carrie, BFF, telling me about Hal Hirschfeld because she's a big Washington Spirit fan. So I started watching some of their games, and she's like the redheaded that's tatted, that's just so badass. Like she's gonna
Mm.
be really good. Then you're
Yeah.
like just getting to know Sam Coffey, like Sam,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? And then Emily Sams, and like there was so Yasmin Ryan, um, Nightswanger, who I thought was really going to kind of take over. I think she's got so much potential.
Mhm.
It was hard to keep track of them these three games. I was like writing all these names down because I was trying to get to know some of the newer ones.
Yeah.
Um, and then I was like, at one point, I was like, wait a minute, who is Mandy Hott, the goalie? I was like, wait, who is that? She's the goalie for
What a
Utah.
name. Mandy Hot. You heard
Mandy
it.
Hott.
Who's
She did
hot?
a great job.
Mandy.
Mandy in goal.
She did
Uh,
good. I know, cause Alyssa, how old's Nair now?
Well, they were just doing because of the playoffs. They were doing Casey Murphy had one game, Nair had one
Mhm.
game, and Hott had one game because I think Jane Campbell's hurt. So I
Mm.
was, that's what I mean. I was just like, wait, who is that? Like, and Emma
Mhm.
Sears. So she's having a fantastic season for Racing Louisville. She scores two goals. She scored. Oh wait, did she score two? Two. She assisted and then scored a goal in Louisville. So that was like an amazing moment. I didn't realize how
Mm-hmm.
tall she was. So that was really fun. And the best is like two, like game two against Iceland, we're losing. We've got all these new players in, and then Emma Hayes just two here, two subs here, three subs
Mm-hmm.
here, and then we wind up scoring three goals in like 10 minutes. Like
Mm-hmm.
the way she can pull these strings of just like, yeah, we're gonna put Lynn Williams in, then we're gonna put Sophia Smith in.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's unbelievable like how she can just kind of orchestrate these moments because Julie
Yeah.
Foudy was saying like you want to get all these new players in but also you want to win.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought some of that like orchestration of taking finding the new wanting to see the new players but also wanting to win
Mm-hmm.
was very difficult when Iceland's out there with like absolutely nothing to lose.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so I don't know. Overall, I just thought we are so lucky to be seeing all of these you know what I mean? It was just so joyful. So that's the
Yeah.
word. That is the word,
We
joy.
know who I'm obsessed with.
Please tell me.
Girma, hello.
Girma coming in and scoring. Basically, she scored two goals and then basically had
Yeah.
an assist on the own goal, which I know won't count, but
I mean, what can't she do?
what can't
She's the
she
best
do?
defender, I think, in the entire of all the teams, not just the
Yeah.
US.
Yeah.
Everybody. Unbelievable. She's like you feel so at ease when
Yes.
she's there. You're like, Naomi's got it. I'm not even worried. She unless, sometimes she gets beat and but like she's such a wall.
Yeah.
So
This
good.
is her second year.
It's
Can you
crazy.
can you stand that? Okay, so 2022 is her first year in NWSL, number one
Yeah.
pick.
Because she
Then,
just graduated from Stanford.
yeah, comes out of Stanford, has such a solid season, so much so that she's the starting center back in our Olympic team. A
Mm-hmm.
year later, in
In a
our
World
World
Cup.
Cup,
Yeah.
Sarah Brown goes down, and I was like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden in the Olympics, like
Yeah.
she's amazing.
And I feel like in the World Cup, people were like, "Oh, she's really good." Like they were
Yeah,
like, "Wow." But I feel like she really like got her flowers. Love like people like this player is next level on the
yeah.
Olympics.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Because Sarah Brown was 2023
Hmm.
World Cup, right? And all the injuries came in, they're all blending. You know what I mean? She
Yeah.
just kind of like I was thinking too. I know I've said this before, but like in the history of like that most pivotal pivotal defensive position of center back, we had
Hmm.
Christy Rampone, who was a dream for so long. I'm like, how are we ever going to replace Christy Rampone? All of a sudden, Becky Sauerbrunn drops out of the heavens. And we're
Hmm.
like, how are we ever going to replace Becky Sauerbrunn? And then all of a sudden, we get Naomi Girma. Okay, listeners, if you didn't see these games, you have to just watch the Girma goals. So this was her. So she comes out of nowhere because Emma Hayes is now pushing everybody up, working on set pieces, and she
Hmm.
has this header into the goal. And it was so joyful, and people are screaming and losing their minds. And then, like 2 minutes later, she like puts her leg up. Then it goes off of another player. And then in the second half, she has another header. And I'm like, what is
It's
going
crazy.
on?
She's the best. I'm so excited to see her career unfold.
We are going to be so lucky that we saw Gurma's career unfold.
Hmm.
It was unbelievable. All right, just a couple more things. Yeah, to me, it was just like these kind of magical three games where it was a really good competition from Iceland. We saw all
Hmm.
these new players. And then for Erin Foley Nerd Fest, I got to like go, okay, where I have to start watching them on the NWSL side. So they're saying that like Coach Hayes, when I was in Seattle doing the live show, Emma Hayes was in town watching the Seattle Rain. We were
Oh,
in the
really?
stadium at the same time. I didn't meet her, but um
I was
and then
like,
she
did you
went to
see her at another
Portland.
bar
You're
drinking
like,
a beer?
I just pop up wherever she's drinking.
Do you want a beer?
Hey, do you want a beer?
You fancy a beer?
You'll
Again,
fancy
not
a
great.
beer,
You
mate?
fancy a beer? She's like, what accent
She's
is that?
like,
We're like,
you
we don't
keep
know.
you
It's kind
keep
of
following me
Irish and
around, and
British and Australian.
I thought you were German.
You fancy a beer?
And then I'll try to do like a Canadian one. She's like, could we just get security to take Erin away from her? Um, but Emma Hayes was saying, like, if you're crushing it in the NWSL, you will get a look at the national team. And that's what happened. Like all these players that got called up, like they were just
Mm-hmm.
killing in the NWSL. But anyway, just a final thought. She said, um, on her Instagram threads, she said, another joyful camp full of celebration and debuts. Super proud of this group. Equally lovely to visit Austin, Nashville, and Louisville. Onwards we roll. Um,
Nice.
it just encapsulates like she's so perfect. And if we had to go
Mhm.
through that like World Cup hell, um, to get her,
Mhm.
we just got so lucky that yeah, I guess her contract is over at Chelsea, or they probably would have extended it for the rest of her life, but she decided to take it. And
When and
the
didn't she like make a promise to her dad or something too?
I cry every
That
single
was
time I
I
hear
know,
that.
right?
He's dying and he's like, you got to take the job if it's offered to you. I promised my dad. I'm like, oh
Mhm.
my God.
Yeah.
The fact that we've only had her for like 12 or 13 games and we haven't lost is still unbelievable. Um, and then finally she wins I've been saying Balloon d'Or. That's not how it's
Oh no,
pronounced.
what is it? I don't know.
It's called Ballon d'Or. I've been saying
Ballon
Balloon d'Or for
Ballon
probably,
d'Or, really?
yes, I looked it up because during the game, the announcer said Ballon d'Or. And I was like,
Balloon door. I love balloons.
I've been saying out loud Balloon d'Or my entire life. So these are like the international FIFA, just a dog shit organization, awards. And Coach Emma Hayes got Coach of the Year. And a lot of our players were nominated for, Female Player of the Year. But because FIFA doesn't recognize women just as a whole,
Hmm.
the ceremony in Paris is always in the window where the women are still playing
Where they can't go.
and they can't go.
Jeez. Come on.
I mean, that doesn't she said it's like having like the Oscars or the Golden Globes, but there's no women.
Right.
I mean, can you?
Crazy. But also, you know,
Not shocking.
that's why we have to wear our everyone watches women's sports t-shirts
Non-stop.
nonstop.
Um, all right. Well, I guess I have to say this.
Okay.
My bucket list is that you and I go to a World Cup game somewhere in the world
That would
one of
be
these
amazing.
one of these days.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry, real quick. Did you wind up seeing the World Cup game? Or did your
I
schedule, were
ended
you
up getting to when I was in Australia, I got to see Australia play
okay?
Ireland.
Oh, that was a great game.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Because
So you've experienced the craziness of a World
yeah,
Cup
and
game.
that was cool because it was like 18,000 people in attendance or something.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I've
it was
only
neat.
I've only been to one. I went to the 2015 semifinal in Montreal and saw the US played Germany. Kelly O'Hara had the goal clinching the
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 butt
goal the goal
clenching goal,
the
clenching
bowl
goal.
clinching goal, but I don't know why we don't
Uh,
have a professional soccer show. We are really nailing it.
we are Balloon Door.
Balloon d'Or and then the butt clinching goal by Kelly O'Hara. That's all you need to know, folks. No, thanks so much for jumping in. Any final thoughts of the U.S. Women's National Team?
Just that I love them. I'm so pumped for them. I love that Emma's here. I love all these upcoming players. I gotta catch up on. I'm gonna try to watch all these games that I missed. Um,
And there's a couple more coming up. There's like two. We play in Wembley Stadium at the end of November, and then I think we
nice.
play like in the Netherlands. So there's like two more coming up that are going to be super fun.
I know. I want to see. I always miss these friendly games when they're nearby. They haven't been nearby on this one.
No.
I want to see them. I want to see them play live.
Yeah. All right. Well, then
Um,
you and I are going to look at the calendar and we're going to go see a live game and we'll do more of this hard hitting reporting, you know?
Hard hitting reporting and keep watching women's sports. It actually is really cool to see the these teams and these sports getting more love because we grew up in a time where they didn't even have the women's version of certain sports. I played soccer with men
Yeah.
until I was like 15, and then I was couldn't play anymore with them because there wasn't a women's team.
It's crazy.
And you know what I mean? It's
Oh, it's
like
awful. Yeah.
wild that, it's taken so long to get where we are. But when I see these like arenas filled for like college women's volleyball or the
Yeah.
Liberty Games arena full and these soccer games full, it makes me so happy, and I'm just glad to see these athletes getting the love and attention they deserve. They work
Uh,
their asses off.
yeah, and they're underpaid and undervalued and they still bring it every single game and
Mhm.
it's amazing. Yeah, it just the investment needs to go up, but I think the fandom's there.
Mhm.
Obviously the talent has been there for, the last
Oh
800
yeah.
years. And if we retain the right to vote, I think women's sports will keep progressing.
Fingers crossed.
So there we go. America. Fortune Feimster, everybody. One of my favorite humans that I've ever met. And Fortune Feimster has a Netflix special coming out December 3rd called Crushing It. It is fantastic. I know all the jokes, and you're going to absolutely love it. So put that on your calendar. By the way, she has like 3 other specials. So if you're just getting introduced to Fortune, get on the bandwagon, watch her specials on Netflix. She's just an absolute delight on the field and off, on the stage and off. Just a good one. All right, people. You know what time it is. It's the feel good moment of the week, and it's Naomi Girma, our all world defender on the U.S. women's national team, going on a scoring bonanza, netting 2 goals and an assist on an own goal, which technically doesn't count, but you know what? We're counting it. She's never scored before for the national team. And when she did, it was like an explosion of joy. Like she couldn't stop smiling and jumping around like a kid. And all her teammates ran over and were jumping on her and hugging her. Everyone was celebrating because she is such a special player. I mean, she's the heart and soul of our defense. And now it's quadruple espresso time. We are watching a Hall of Fame career unfold before us, and seeing her score those goals was so feel good.